Hello everyone and welcome to Katharine's Creatures, and this is a series where I talk a little bit about and touch base upon various mythological creatures, beast beings, and the like pulled from lore worldwide. And I always like to preface by saying that I am not a linguist, so if I mispronounce anything, I do apologize in advance. And today I wanted to go over actually to an area of northwest Spain and talk about the, hopefully I pronounce this correctly, the Xana, or Xana, and it's spelled Xana. So someone let me know. And so this particular creature is a sort of almost like a character that pops up a lot in Austurian mythology. And again, that's located in the northwest area of Spain. It's also sometimes these creatures appear in Eastern Galician and Cantabrian mythologies. Woo! Now we're getting through some of these words. Okay, so this particular kind of group is essentially deemed always female. They are depicted being extraordinarily beautiful. So they're lovely female creatures that live in areas where fountains, rivers, waterfalls, or even forested regions that contain sources of pure water. And sometimes, even though they may live and hide in caves and caverns, there must be, more often than not, these sources of pure water somewhere in the vicinity, so you can find the Xana. And for instance, well, sorry, not for instance, but going back to the namesake of this creature, the name, people kind of debate where it originates from. There is some people who think that the word Xana might derive from the Latin name for the goddess Diana, because again, the reflections of these kind of nature-based spirits, but there is not necessarily any proof one way or another. Now, as far as who these female entities are and what they represent, they're more often than not deemed as wonderful things, beneficial spirits to have around. They often, in stories, promise various treasures. I'll get to a little bit more to that, but as I say repeatedly over and over again, there's always variations in myth. It does appear. And so some of the alternative views of the Xana are less beneficial and more so that beware of them, because there are certain stories that say that these female entities will attack humans and try to steal their food. But again, they're often, or more often than not, deemed as beneficial spirits. And in the good stories about them, some of the things they do offer people is quote unquote love water. They also like to offer things like, and rewards like gold and silver to travelers who they deem worthy. And there is not necessarily any reason why a particular Xana will deem one person worthy or not, but that is left for them to judge. And they're also supposed to have these hypnotic voices. And on summer nights and spring nights, you can hear them talking and singing. And if you are a person with a pure soul, when you hear the Xana, you are often kind of fulfilled in this sense of peace and love, and again, this kind of these positive attributes. But if you're someone who is not pure, does not have a good soul, the voice of the Xana will actually make you feel like you're suffocating and potentially can drive you mad. So you want to be a good person when you come across the Xana. Now, there's some fun lore about them in particular. As I mentioned towards the beginning of this, they're always depicted as being female. Yet, Xana are known to sometimes have children. The issue is that they have this inability to nurse their own children, and if they're a child, which are known as the Xanin, or as a group, Xaninos, if their child or children are to survive, one of the ways they figured out is kind of doing or replicating the same idea of changelings. And I know I've covered them in a previous piece before, but where the Xana, the mother figure, will exchange their child for a human child. And in doing so, they're actually trying to ensure the survival of their own child in this case. Not necessarily anything with the human child that they abduct, but they're just trying to ensure that their own offspring make it to adulthood. I guess the good thing is that if taken care for by human parents, the Xanin or the Xeninos, again, if you're a group of them, grow up in a matter of months. So you don't have to take care of them for long. If you're a person who's suspicious that their child was swapped out, one of the ways you can kind of test this theory is put a pot or multiple pots by the fireplace and fill them with eggshells. And for whatever reason, and again, this kind of has a little bit of the Fae-like lore, where you have in certain Fae belief systems, they cannot ignore multiples of things, a lot of times rice or seeds or grains or stuff like that. In this particular case, the exchanged Xanan will look upon these pots filled with eggshells and cry out that they've never seen so many eggshells near the fireplace in all their life, and the fact that they actually exclaim and answer in that fashion, sorry, that was my sticky note that fell, then the human parents will know that their child is not their own. Interesting stuff. But again, overall, these female spirits are viewed in good things. They're offer, you know, again, wealth and prosperity and love and more the positive attributes versus some of the, again, the more darker traits that you hear in a lot of other kind of lore from various other spirits or Fae-like creatures. Now, if you have any questions about this or anything else, please post them in the comments below or reach out to me on any of my other social media. And until next time, everyone, Skål.